Today we talk about the Satudarah MC. It was Duisburg, Germany, summer 2012. Gunshots rang out in the night. A Hells Angels member lay bleeding in the street. Another body nearby. Satudarah colors. Police stormed safe houses across the country. Biker clubhouses raided. Weapons seized. Explosives found. The war wasn't in the jungle. It wasn't in the desert. It was in Europe. And the name on every police officer's lips was Satudarah. This wasn't just a motorcycle club. It was a rebellion. Let's get into it.
We run the night. We run the night. Run.
To understand the Satudarah, you have to understand what made them. In 1949, Indonesia breaks free from Dutch colonial rule. In the chaos, one group of elite soldiers stayed loyal to the Netherlands, the Moluccans. But when the Dutch lost control, they abandoned their allies. 12,500 Moluccans were shipped to the Netherlands, promised a new life. But instead of homes, they were given cold barracks. They waited for years. Years turned into decades until 1990, when 9 men from the Moluccan community decided to flip the script. They formed a motorcycle club. Satudarah was born in Moordrecht, Netherlands. 9 men, 1 patch. It wasn't just about motorcycles. It was about building a world where they made the rules. A safe space for the forgotten. A resistance movement with chrome and leather. These men were hardened by street life and survival. And when the doors of society stayed shut, they kicked them down. Every outlaw motorcycle club has a patch, but Satudarah's is different. Because to Satudarah, the native represents resistance to genocide. The word Satudarah, Maluku, proudly honoring their heritage. Their colors, black and gold. They wear a 3-piece patch, like traditional 1% clubs. Top rocker, Satudarah. Center, the warrior. Bottom rocker, territory. To wear the patch was to enter a brotherhood where betrayal meant violence. Loyalty was everything. The patch wasn't fabric. It was sacred, a right, a threat. A symbol that spoke before words were needed. And like most sacred things, it came at a price. So they began to grow fast. First to nearby towns, then Germany, Belgium, Indonesia. By 2012, chapters existed across Europe, Australia, and even Asia. Their appeal, brotherhood without borders. Unlike the Hells Angels, Satudarah didn't care about race. They were black, brown, white, Asian, Arab. If you had loyalty, you had a home. And that scared people. In Germany, they clashed with the Banditos and Hells Angels. In Sweden, there were shootouts. In the Netherlands, riots. Their clubhouse was more than a biker hangout. It was a fortress. Police surrounded it. But inside, there was strategy, meetings, rituals, and war councils. They opened tattoo shops, security firms, gyms, legitimate businesses, some said. Others believed they were fronts. Police labeled them a threat. Government started surveillance. The media called them a multicultural mafia, but the members, they called it family. By the time law enforcement caught on, Satudarah had over 40 international chapters and hundreds of members ready to fight, bleed, or die for the patch. As they expanded into Scandinavia, they entered a volatile battlefield, one scarred by decades of bloodshed between rival motorcycle clubs. Denmark had already endured 2 brutal conflicts, known as the First and Second. But in 2017, a new chapter began. It was called the Third Danish Biker War. Satudarah's presence in Denmark was seen as a direct challenge to the dominant players, Hells Angels and their support club, the AK-81. The fragile peace between the clubs shattered as Satudarah opened chapters and began recruiting rapidly, especially among immigrant communities. Their multicultural appeal, once seen as their strength, now made them a target in a country where outlaw biker lines had already been drawn. Shootings erupted in Copenhagen. Innocent bystanders were caught in the crossfire. Police called it open warfare on the streets. The Danish National Police launched a nationwide crackdown. In 2018, under immense pressure, Danish courts moved to ban Satudarah entirely, mirroring the legal action already taken in the Netherlands. But even after the ban, violence continued. Members continued to operate under the radar, and former members refused to be silenced. The Third Biker War wasn't just a battle between clubs. It was a cultural flashpoint. It exposed racial tensions, immigration fears, and deep-rooted power struggles of outlaw biker life in Scandinavia. Satudarah didn't start the war, but they walked into it and left their mark. With growth became heat. Law enforcement struck hard. Real quick, if you enjoy MC culture content, smash the like and the subscribe button. And give me a pound wherever you're from. And get your Ghostavelli mask, shades, DemonsRow snapbacks in all colors, tank tops, crew necks, track races. We got it all, and you can get it on www.demonsrow.com. Let's get back into it. In 2014, German police raided 49 Satudarah clubhouses, seized weapons, found narcotics, and launched investigations into trafficking, and other charges. In the Netherlands, things boiled over. By 2018, the Dutch court officially banned Satudarah, claiming they posed a threat to public order. The logo was outlawed within the Netherlands. Wearing the patch in public became a crime in the country. The Dutch weren't just banning a club, they were banning a symbol of rebellion. And it didn't stop there. Belgium soon followed. Germany increased surveillance. Spain, Sweden, and Norway began monitoring members. But Satudarah didn't disappear. They went underground. Some chapters disbanded, others rebranded. But in places like Indonesia, Malaysia, the United States, and parts of Eastern Europe, they continued. Some split off into rogue chapters. Some stayed loyal to the core leadership. The message was clear. The government could ban a logo in some countries, but it couldn't erase an identity. One blood, still flowing. Some call them a brotherhood of rebels, others an international crime syndicate. The truth depends on who's telling the story. They never had the resources of the Hells Angels. They didn't need them. What they had was loyalty, rage, and purpose. In Indonesia, Satudarah is still tied to street-level control, territorial disputes, and underground dealings. In Europe, they live as ghosts, patched over, absorbed, or waiting. Their legacy is controversial, glorified in some communities, condemned by others. But one thing's certain, they left their mark. They taught outlaw bikers what unity across race could look like. They challenged the old white biker world order, and they paid for it. This isn't the story of good guys or bad guys. It's a story of forgotten people building their own empire in the shadows of the West. They rose, they fought, they burned, and even now, the name still echoes. Satudarah, one blood, one war. The Satudarah was more than a club. It was a reaction to colonialism, to racism, to rejection. And though the patch has been outlawed in the Netherlands and banned in certain countries in Europe, chapters still operate legally in other parts of the world, including the United States, Indonesia, and beyond. Because when men are born into silence, some choose to speak with violence. Satudarah MC, one blood.